Welcome to Bear Tracks, the official podcast for Butler Community College. In each episode, we feature inspirational and lively conversations with our graduates about their memories of student days, stories, challenges, and career highlights. We have so many alumni who are leading change and innovation in their respective fields around the world. And whether you're a recent graduate or a seasoned professional, we hope you'll find inspiration and new perspectives through the conversations we have on this show. Thank you so much for joining us and enjoy the episode. Welcome back to Bear Tracks, or if this is your first time joining us on the podcast, welcome to Bear Tracks. I'm your host, Hayley Hobbs, and today I'm really excited to have former student and Butler graduate Hannah Bargas with me today. Hannah graduated from Butler in 2017. Thank you for joining me on Bear Tracks.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for asking me. I feel like I'm just still a grizzly bear every single day, so I still take it with me everywhere I go.
Well, you know, we say you never really leave Butler.
You don't.
And you can come back anytime you want.
That would probably be the best decision I'd ever make, is to go twice.
Well, let's go to the background first and talk about how you came to Butler and kind of what was your decision-making process in choosing Butler as your first education of higher ed.
Yeah. So, well, obviously, I was in high school, and a senior in high school in 2015, and I was kind of in between going to a four-year university and was trying to figure out what I really wanted to do as far as I knew what I wanted to do major-wise, but I wasn't sure, where I could go, where I could afford. And I think having that daunting idea of how much money it actually is to go to school. And when you're 18 years old, 17 years old, you don't really realize in the grand scheme of things how expensive that actually is. And I was talking with my parents, and I had already been accepted to a four-year university at the time. And we kind of had the conversation like it isn't really in the cards for us as far as being able to have a four-year degree and understanding how much debt I might be in. So I wanted to look at other options, and I was in my yearbook room, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And I'm sure it was from you or someone at like the foundation office or something like that. And there was a letter posted on the bulletin board in my yearbook room. And it was for like scholarships and just talking about enroll now. And I was like, what is Butler Community College? I hadn't looked at community colleges other than what was here in Kansas City, because I'm obviously from Kansas City. And so I knew of the ones that were here. But when I looked deeper, I was like, this is awesome. Like the fact that you could live like on campus, and there was a lot of clubs and a lot of like social abilities there. I'm a very social person. So be able to have that really kind of opened my eye to community colleges and what that could look like for me when I kind of already had the idea of going to a four-year university. So when I came home, I like talked to my parents about it, and they're like, you should apply. And then obviously during that time, like I said, I was in yearbook. And so I was really invested in like radio and wanted to be and do sports journalism. So I was already doing that with the yearbook and newspaper in high school. And I was like, I wonder if they have any scholarship opportunities. And so I reached out, and I got a full ride with tuition and books paid for from Butler for the sports. So then when I looked at the opportunities, I saw that obviously they had the sports journalism scholarship. And I was so excited. Obviously went back and did an interview with, I remember it was Mr. Swan at the time. Mm-hmm. And I sat with him, and I think we talked about Iowa basketball more than we talked about anything else at the time. And I think he was like trying to figure me out a little bit. I was like, because I was the only girl that was in sports journalism at the time. And then it wasn't until my sophomore year that there was two other girls that joined, which was pretty cool. And other than that, yeah, I was the only girl, and being able to be in that environment and grow in that was really special. And then I remember I was here in Kansas City at the time on, I believe, like winter break or something. And I was really looking for a job. And that's when Kelly Sneddon had reached out to me and she was like, "Do you want to get into marketing?" And I was like, "I don't know what marketing is." It's crazy because it was almost 10 years ago that I was at Butler. And it's just wild to think that like no one really knew what marketing was at the time. And now everyone knows what marketing is and everyone does it, it feels like. And at the time, I was learning what marketing was as I was doing it. And being a student worker at Butler opened all of those doors. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more soon. But that's where I fell in love with marketing. And that's where I am now is because of Butler and having the chance that I got.
You mentioned Mike Swan, who is now retired, but was such a great journalism teacher. He was my mass comm teacher at Butler as well, and I remember thriving under his leadership too. And it's just like that connection, your connection to Kelly Sneddon, who's our director of college relations and marketing, kind of shows how internally everybody's talking and communicating and working together to make the experience valuable for the students in more ways than just tuition and books, which is great, but that you got to experience lots of different avenues of career exploration that you didn't even know were possible.
Yeah. And it was crazy to think that I got that much hands-on ability like right away. I mean, and I wouldn't have been able to get that at a 4-year university, and maybe not until like my junior, or maybe even not even until my senior year, which I learned by example and a visual learner. So being able to be hands-on right away gave me the opportunity to, one, feel it out and see if it was for me, and two, being able to like really make connections, in El Dorado, but also beyond that, because I met people when I would travel with the teams. And even, I still have connections in the Iowa Central when we would travel with the football team. So it's just crazy to know that it was all full circle. And yeah, it was awesome. And to be able to have those connections and still talk to Kelly and still talk to some of the other marketing team that we had at the time, which was Dewey and Michaelin. They were just great, and they got me to where I'm at today.
That's lovely. So you've kind of described your overall college experience at Butler. Was there a certain memorable moment that significantly impacted you?
Oh, so many. I think one of the biggest moments for me was probably one when I got the scholarship at the beginning. That was, it kickstarted everything. I think looking back now, I had two friends that were going through the media program at KU. And so I was kind of talking with them, and like they were talking about their experiences, and they hadn't even touched a microphone. Like they hadn't even been in the opportunity to sit down and have like the one-on-one or a sports like play-by-play or a color situation. And I remember sending them like actual color commentating game recaps where I was actually doing them. And as the only female too, which was crazy because at the time it was like I wanted to be the next Erin Andrews. And at the time there really wasn't any female reporters. If you look back now, there's so many. But I think the biggest and the most memorable was we were at an Iowa Central game and I was color commentating for the first time. And that was a really big game. And I look to my right and it's all men. And I'm like, I'm actually doing this right now. Like, this is crazy. And I sent it to my friends at KU and they're like, they don't even let us touch a microphone. And I think that was like, I made the best choice I could have ever made, not only for the money or for just playing it safe, where a lot of people think about community college, but it's really not. Like, if you choose the community college that actually takes a chance on you as an individual, it's not playing it safe. It's starting off on the right foot, and you're actually kind of ahead of other people, in my experience. That was probably the most memorable moment, was being able to do play-by-play. And that was my freshman year.
Yeah, that's very cool. I would encourage you to come back and visit BCTV now because it's evolved so much in 10 years, and the work that they're doing. And this is a call for the podcast listeners too. Like, they have an app, they're streaming everything that happens at the college. Like, it's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. I would encourage you to come back and visit BCTV now because it's evolved so much in 10 years and the work that they're doing. And this is a call for the podcast listeners too. Like they have an app, they're streaming everything that happens at the college. Like it's very cool.
Wow, that is huge. I mean, truly, I was really the only female. Even when we traveled, like the other student reporters, there was women doing photography and like videography, but not doing any color or play by play. And that's so cool. That makes me so excited. I will have to take a visit.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great. So you've kind of talked about how you felt like you were ahead of your peers at Butler by what you received at Butler education and experience-wise. When you went to the next level, what were the things that you took with you the most from your experience at the community college to make you feel that way?
Yeah, I will tell you, I think the most memorable things that I took with me was my confidence and knowing that I had all of this experience and then going into, because I went to a private institution after I left Butler and did 2 years. And it was like my dream school is what I thought it was when I was a little girl because the school is like shaped like a castle. And so I loved it there. But what I took was around my peers, like we were talking after class or doing study halls together. And at this point, I had decided not to do sports journalism, not because I didn't love it, but because I felt even then at the time, it was like 2017, 2018, that there still wasn't a lot of female reporters on ESPN. And unfortunately, that kind of discouraged me from pursuing that more. And so I went ahead and I kept going with marketing because I did fall in love with it from Butler. And so after I kind of sunset the idea of doing sports journalism, I was like, let's go full force into marketing. And so I pursued that. And that's also where I got into digital marketing. More people were talking about SEO and search engine optimization. I've actually been coding since the fourth grade. So I was able to bring that to life and use that. And then obviously with my design skills, when I used that at Butler, I just knew that I was kind of ahead. I was talking to my peers and they're like, we never had any of this like experience at all. Like we've learned from our books and there was really no hands-on. And I was like, how are you like now I'm a junior and then even my senior year, people were saying, so where did you go before? Because it seems like you have all these connections and like I'm a senior in college and I don't even have any of these connections. And I was like, well, because I went to Butler.
Because it's better at Butler.
Yeah, duh. It's better to be a bear. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, you were doing a lot. You were going to school, you were in sports journalism, and then you were a student worker in the marketing department, which they rely heavily, even to this day, on student workers because you're in touch with what's interesting to students now. So that's important. And then they can do a lot of on the ground work for them. What was maybe your most fun or memorable experience from doing that?
Oh, I know exactly what that is. So at the time, Snapchat was really big. Not that it's not now, but it was so big at the time. And like geolocations were kind of new. And everyone was doing like custom geotagging and custom like geolocations for like their weddings and like all these events and stuff. And I remember coming to the team and I was like, we have to do a custom Snapchat filter. Like we have to do something for graduation because I was graduating that year. And I said, we have to create something and submit it into Snapchat. And I remember working with the team and we did submit it and we did have it at graduation. And that was the coolest thing because I was like, I came up with that and that is so cool. And so seeing that kind of come to life, it kind of took me back. And I was thinking about this actually a few months ago was how much my voice was heard too as a student worker. It wasn't like I was just someone just doing the slump work. I was really doing like real work that was really seen by prospective students and then current students too. And then having my idea heard and then executed was, I mean, that's so cool. I mean, as like an 18-year-old girl, a 19-year-old girl being like, hey, we should do this. And they're like, okay, let's do it. I mean, to get your voice heard sometimes in college or to make a difference that way sometimes takes a lot more effort. And to just have that trust right off the bat was awesome. And you wouldn't get that if it wasn't such an intimate or a very supportive space that Butler has and creates every day. And I'm sure they do an even better job now.
We hopefully at least do the same good job that we did then. And yeah, it's definitely a different world these days. Things have changed so much, but care and prioritizing the students is always going to be at the forefront of what we do. So let's transition to what you're up to these days, because you, my friend, are an entrepreneur. Please tell us all about it.
Yeah. So obviously kept going with marketing. I graduated, I actually went to Park University, and that was the 4 year that I transferred to after Butler. I moved back home, obviously, to Kansas City and decided to do my last 2 years at Park University, and it was great. And then I was like, we're going to do full-fledged marketing. That's what I want to do, and do digital marketing. And after that, I was in college at the time, and I was in my last year, so my senior year, and I was the last few weeks of college before finals. And I remember I was like, I really need like a big girl job. Before I was nannying at the time, and I was making like $140 a week. And I was like, what is this? So I needed something better, and I needed something to challenge me because, that's me. And so I applied and I was like, gosh, I'm not getting where like I need to be. And so I kept pushing, and I got my first big girl job as just a marketing temp. And I was doing stuff with a bird food manufacturer here in Kansas City. And I did that. And after 3 months, they hired me on full time. I guess they just loved me so much. And I was hired on full time just as a marketing kind of assistant. And then 6 months later, I was a marketing executive. And this is a multi-million-dollar business. They were sold on Chewy.com, Petco, PetSmart. I was doing and helping with real life like packaging, and seeing this all over the world was crazy. So it was like, okay, less than a year ago, I was in college still. And I remember when I had got the promotion, I wasn't even 21 yet. And the marketing director was like, let's go out and celebrate. And I was like, I don't know how much celebrating you want to do because I'm only 20 years old. And she was like, why did I do that? And I still laughed at that to this day, because I know that I was better equipped than a lot of people my age because of the experiences that I already had. And so that really helped me kickstart that as well. And so I worked there for about almost 5 years. And at the time, I realized I really would love to work for myself. And I took a chance on myself. I had $300 in my bank account. This is not a good move to people listening, but I believed in myself and I believed what I could do. And I took a chance on myself, and I had $300 in my bank account, and I started a marketing agency, and I made 6 figures in 6 months. And that was the craziest experience, I will tell you. And it was after the shutdown. I had opened this agency 2 weeks before the whole world shut down. And I think that's what grew my business, is because so many businesses were like, well, while we're shut down, we need better marketing for when we open back up. And it was a saving grace. I quit my 9 to 5 and I took it full on myself. And I was a baby. I was very young and I was doing it, and I was thriving, and I opened 5 more businesses after that. And I sold almost all of them. And now here I'm sitting with you, and I'm almost 28, and I have owned and sold 6 businesses.
That's amazing, though. Like, how do you feel when you reflect on that?
I feel like sometimes I have to pinch myself and thinking like, wait, how old am I? And so many people are like, how many lives have you lived already? Like, you're like a cat. And I just think when you're able to have as many experiences as I had in a very short amount of time, but when I was really young and I was taken seriously, it gave me the not only experience that I needed to be able to grow, but the confidence that I needed to be able to be like, no, I can do this. Like I can one, I can do anything I set my mind to, but I can do this and I can do it well, and then I'll grow from that. And then I'll help other people grow too. And that's why I really wanted to start businesses and be in marketing, is because I'm social, but be able to help other people grow too. And that's always been my passion. And I think it led me very far, because as long as I'm helping other people, I can't really fail. And now, obviously, I have a daughter too. And being able to have her look up to me it's so cool, because I want one day when she is asked, who's your superhero? I don't want her to be like Wonder Woman or like Superman or something. I want her to be able to be like my mom. My mom's my superhero. And that's honestly, that's been the guiding light also, as far as helping people, but knowing if I ever had a daughter or I had any children, that they would have someone that they could actually talk to, be their role model, and be able to be like asking any experience questions that they had, or anything that they needed to relate to or had issues, they could talk to their mom instead of someone who they could never really talk to. And so that's kind of what I think about. And it's crazy, and it's kind of crazy to think that I'm only almost 28, and it's like, what's next? I don't know. I don't
What
know
is
what I'll do.
next? Are you just sort of enjoying your success right now? And are there any projects you're working on?
I'm actually starting an app. So it's in the building stages, so I can't talk too much on it, but I'm really excited. I think it's going to be revolutionary for a lot of women and men too, I guess. Again, can't get too deep into it, but it's really revolutionary in the fact of a tool that will help people when they're searching for makeup. So if you're really into makeup, your ears might perk up a little bit, but more to come on that. And yeah, it's kind of in dev mode right now, but that's happening. And I actually do marketing for a lot of premium car brands, so like Maserati and Porsche now. So that's in the works now too. So a lot of great things are happening.
Very cool. The world is sort of your oyster, is what I'm hearing, Hannah. That's great.
My grandma likes to say, everything you touch turns to gold. And I was like, that's so
Oh,
nice. I've never heard that. So
that's
yeah,
lovely. Yeah, that's an oldie but a goodie.
yes, yes,
And that's a high compliment for sure.
yes. Very
That's been
appreciative.
awesome to hear about all of your success. Kind of looking back, was there anything you would have done differently that's led to you to this moment, or do you feel like all the pieces fell into place?
One thing that I would change was when I first came to Butler, or was first looking at Butler rather, I saw that you guys had like campus life, and you could stay and you could be in the dorms. And I actually chose to not be in the dorms. I lived in an apartment because I never had obviously a roommate before. I was an older sibling, and so I wanted like my own space. And moving away from home, I would just wanted my own space and be able to also traveling with the team. I would come home late, and I felt almost like an athlete at the time too, because it was like you're traveling with the team, you're going to practices, you're not for the whole time, and you're not the one dribbling the ball or getting hit, but you're capturing all of this and then meeting deadlines. And I felt like at the time it would have been too much of a distraction. Now, if I look back now and I'm like, I wish I would have had more time just being a kid or just enjoying college more. But then it's a double-edged sword at the same time, because it's like everything got you to where you're at now. So if you had any slowdowns, maybe I wouldn't be where I'm at, and you would never know. But I think the other side of the coin is, and for anyone listening, if you're meant to have something and you're meant to succeed in some way, whatever that looks like, it will find you. And you don't have to have total control over it, because whatever you're meant to have, you will have always. And I think if I would have just maybe slowed down a little bit, that I could have had more fun. And while I had so many great experiences, that was just a personal decision. I should have just had more fun, but it is what it is now. So it was fun in the academia kind of way, and having the sports too in the background was awesome to have, because I grew up obviously being around sports, and wanting to travel with the team was awesome. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I would have changed, really.
Is there any advice you would give to current students either about the college process or maybe transitioning into workforce?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the only bit of advice I would ever have is look within yourself and talk to yourself about what's important to you. When it comes to what you're striving for, what are you willing to do to make things happen while also having joy and having fun every day and enjoying these little moments in time where you don't have all the responsibility, you don't have all these bills, you don't have everything that everyone's asking of you, and just enjoy it because there is time to make money. There's time to succeed. There's so much time. Even though we don't know how much time we have, there is time, and there is always time to succeed where you're allowing yourself to be open to those experiences rather than just closed off and being straight and narrow. I think that there's something to say about being able to do both. And I think when you're looking for a job, one thing that I can say when I've been in the hiring process is to just watch what you post online because it does still matter. And I don't think I mentioned this, but I'm also looking to go into law school. So having that too, I did get accepted to law school, but I need to finish a few things first. So just think about what you post online. I think it's important. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think oftentimes simple advice is sometimes the most needed because we can get bogged down with all sorts of other information as information's hitting us constantly. So yeah, I think just kind of back to basics and being yourself, but being professional is important.
I agree.
You talked a little bit about how you weren't aware of Butler, which you were not in the market area of Butler, so that's not super surprising, but community college wasn't really on your radar as something you wanted to attend. Can you talk about maybe what your perception of community college was, how it's changed, and what you think the biggest misconceptions are?
Yeah. I think for me, it felt like a cop out or like an easy way out, or thinking that like I was very naive. I mean, I was like 17 years old at the time too. I was thinking that it was just going to be easy and it was going to be something that it wasn't really going to challenge me. And if I was going to move away from home, I wanted it to be a 4-year university because I always thought about like the parties and like going out and like having the alumni club after you graduate and like all these big things that in the grand scheme of things are cool in the moment, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, in the grand scheme of 10 years later, I think that it was really just that. It was really just the conception that like it was just an easy way out. And I can tell you what changed my perception is when I went there for the interview and I could see the campus and I could see how involved the students were. I just truly didn't think that there was much of a student life for community college because I thought it was like, okay, came to class, went home, and then like went to work. And like there was no involvement. Like there wasn't clubs. I just had the association that there wasn't any clubs or social or student life there at the community college. And I don't know why I thought that. I think it was just an assumption, I guess. Probably because I also wasn't doing any education or looking up or any research on it. And I think when you're left to assume, you assume the wrong things and you just make up your own assumptions. And once I, delved a little bit deeper, and that's when I found out that you guys do have clubs and you do have dormitory avenues for people if they want to stay on campus. I don't know. I didn't think about that. And then once seeing that, I was like, okay, I could actually have like a 4-year experience in 2 years and probably have more hands-on experience than if I were to go to KU or K-State or anywhere as a 4-year institution and be one of 700 people in a room. I want to feel special. And while that might sound vain, I mean it in a way that's like, I want to have the experiences that I'm meant to have. So if I'm putting myself in a placement where I'm not going to have that, knowingly that I'm not going to have it because of so many other opportunities that are also in the room, then I'm doing myself a disservice. And I think when people think about community college, they should look at the opportunities that are there because it's smaller pool. It's awesome to be able to get your feet wet right away. And I even had a radio show too, which is crazy to think about. I still think about that to this day.
That's fun. I forgot that you had a radio show.
Yep.
They still do.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, I had a country radio show and my name was Country Roads, I think it was, or something like that. Dusty Roads, that was my name. I was Dusty Roads because Dewey came up with it. Yeah, that's who I was, and I was a country radio host.
You got to experience a little bit of everything that they had to offer, it sounds like.
I did. And I even used those in interviews too. Like I brought clips back from play-by-plays and radio shows that I hosted. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with or any other experiences or memories you want to share?
If you're able to get in as a student worker, really dive into it and really lean into it, because I think the biggest thing that you can take from that is you can build your portfolio in literally whatever job you take. Because I was able to, everything that I worked on digitally, everything print-wise, I literally made a portfolio, and I had a portfolio to show as soon as I left. And I had an internship with a toy company before I got my big girl job and before I started nannying. And because I had all this experience, I kind of came in like I had already been doing marketing professionally for 2 years, which it's always like, it's a running joke with like young people too. It's like all these like job requirements. They want 10 years experience and they want you to have like a bachelor's degree. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. I was like 17 at the time. But if you come in and you already have 2 years experience and you're 18 or you're 20 years old, like having that experience is awesome to have in your back pocket, because it's like I said, people in four-year institutions don't always have that. And being able to be like, yeah, I have this whole portfolio of stuff that you can look through. I was asked many times, where did you go to school? Or where, like, did you intern somewhere? I'm like, oh no, yeah, kind of, but this was just at my college. So if you get the opportunity, and if you get the opportunity to work with any of the foundation ladies or Kelly Sneddon, you should, because it completely changed my life. And I wouldn't be where I'm at without Butler and without being able to have someone that would take a chance on me. And it was kind of, I think, luck of the draw, because I don't know how many applications you guys get for student workers, but I don't know if you guys still do it the same, but I remember putting in an application and then you just apply to be a student worker. You don't know where you're going to be like put at. It just so happened to be marketing, and maybe they saw like my major or what I was interested in, whatever, but that was luck. But it opened me up to realize that's exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I wouldn't be here without you guys. So I really do appreciate you.
You're very kind, and we loved having you in the office, and I'm glad that Butler made such a mark on you, and we are proud to be able to call you one of our fabulous alums who has done wonderful things in a short amount of time. So thank you so much, Hannah, for being with me today, for sharing your story, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Hayley. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for listening to Bear Tracks, the official podcast of Butler Community College. We hope you found the conversation as entertaining and enlightening as we did. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, and don't forget to visit our website or email us at beartrackspodcast@butlercc.edu for more resources and opportunities to connect. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to bringing you more thought-provoking conversations on the next episode of Bear Tracks.